Hello, Jinkies family. Today we're going to discover a 50-second Jinky, the one that is in current transit field. And this is a key of stress and stillness and a gift of restraint. And this key is underestimated, the gift, as it seems something not so interesting or beautiful or magical. Though this gift is really important in the modern time and also the CD of stillness. But first, let's see how it works and why we go into stress on a shadow level and how it's connected with our biochemical response and what's going on the level of our body also. As physiological, it's connected with cortisol and adrenaline and the way how our system basically produces stress, in fact, the stress hormone, and reacts on the stress of environment. So on a shadow level, we contract our breath. We breathe very on the surface level. The breath doesn't go deep. We stuck kind of on a surface level and we can't connect with life. We can't connect with our own body and we spend all the time in our mind. Also, this key is a codon ring of seeking. That means it's a group of 6 jinkies that discover the path of seeking the God and divinity. 52, 52nd, and also 15 jinki and 39 and 53 and 54. And so there are all the ways of seeking the God. And in that group, the 52 has a very interesting and particular role and being able to restrain, in fact, the energy and help us to disconnect from the energy field of stress and elevate our frequency. So let's see how it works. Stress. Stress is something that we will not even think that this is a shadow because it's became like a normal of our life. And in fact, this is just how it programmed in the level of our body. Because when we feel stress, we feel a high level of cortisol in our system that makes us either to run or to freeze. And there are 2 reactions on stress, as well as every shadow has 2 levels to weigh how it works. And the one level is a reaction on fear, basically, as I will remind you if you forget that from previous transmissions that every shadow is a fear-based mechanism and we can either react on fear or we let the fear suppress us and we feel it as suppression. So reaction pattern of stress would be like running, overacting, overdoing, and producing even more cortisol and keeping yourself in a loop of action. While at the same time, the repressive nature will act as a stuck, freeze, and go into depression. We can also see in the way how the jinkies moves in the flow of the keys, as last week we discovered 15th jinki. That was a key of fluorescence and dullness, and that it also was a way of, in fact, how we deal with fear. And if we react on fear, we go into dullness. But if we can stay with it without a reaction and observation, just an observation, we will see the fluorescence. And so the 52 jinki is showing us that when we react on fear, we, as an instinct mechanism, we either run or fight, freeze, and this is how a lot of humans live. And in fact, first of all, it's a question on, again, biochemical level of our system and how is just our system programmed to live, and that Mm, I remember when I was working, started to work with my kinesiologist and homeopath doctor years ago. He found out that my system had always um, a cortisol that was overproducing because it produced as a reaction on some inflammation that he said I had, like when I was child or something like this. Something was in my lungs, and and the body healed it, but somehow it still left memory of it, and my body was still producing cortisol that was supposed to fight this virus that already was not there. And that was affecting my system and was making me overdoing, overacting, and like kind of constantly doing a lot of things, and in a way be not able to stop, even if I already did a lot of meditations. And in meditations I could stay in stillness without thoughts, without like any waves of thinking. But on a physical level, my body was still producing increased amount of cortisol. And when we did a work of reprogramming my system and also through homeopathy, I just realized that in fact it's possible to live from stillness and from pause and not running always everywhere. And that's different way of living. And so the 50-second gene kit gives us opportunity to really reprogram and recalibrate our system if we will understand how to manage it. And the first thing, as I mentioned before, the breath. That normally we breathe very on a surface level. But what this key requires is to breathe with all your body, with your belly, and that in fact there are 2 points of breath. The one that goes from the perineum, from the like a lower gate enter point, and the second point is here in our head, and the crown chakra. And the breath should flow freely between these 2 points. When we breathe like this, we will be in the restraint and in a stillness. But because most of the human beings breathe very, the breath is short and it's fast, as it's connected with the mental system and how mind works, and constantly processing a lot of information, trying to make decisions, plan, control, especially in the big cities when like you're dealing with a lot of stress all the time. And then the system in a way get collapsed and we forget how to breathe, because if you breathe normally, in fact, how you're supposed to, you would naturally slow down. And in fact, you will enter the space of stillness through which you can still, in fact, do a lot, but your system will not produce cortisol. You would stay in a stillness within. It means you will not get tired because you're not in reaction, but you're acting from a present moment and from the stillness within you. And as I said, first thing we should do is we should breathe deeper. And you can literally even imagine how you breathe in um, from a lower point and bringing it up to a higher point, and then you're also breathing from higher point down, and the breath is going freely through these gate points. And you can see if you breathe like this, even like for 5 minutes, you will naturally feel more calm. And in fact, when you calm down yourself, then the answers of your soul are coming. Then you can listen to your soul, you can hear what's truth for you. and then act from this. You need to think less and kind of control less because you just align with your soul. And yes, another point of stress, what I wanted to share about this shadow is that we, in a way, we connected with energy fields, with auras of other people. That stress is not only like your own kind of frequency, but it's also a frequency of collective. It's how we also, when we exchange information from our auras, we, in a way, constantly generating more stress because we are always touching our auras with everybody. And because stress is a collective energy, especially like in a big city, of course, if we will speak about living in a nature, closer to nature, you will feel differently. You know, I lived 5.5 years in Bali, and now I'm in Moscow, like visiting my parents. But living in an island, even it's nowadays, Bali itself has a lot of stress. It's a lot of traffic and tourists, but it's still different as it has a lot of spiritual energy and nature. And it's not like a big city where stress is a normal, in fact, frequency. That, in fact, completely disharmonize, destroys your system, and people get used to living this. How Richard Rudd is sharing that when somebody is in stress, like when our system feels that like something is going wrong and it's increased amount of cortisol, then our system rings a bell like alarm saying that we disconnected. In fact, the cortisol is also the way for our body to say something off. You disconnected from your own flow, like you disconnected from your heart, and your body is now producing the hormones, and that's try to, in fact, tell you something. And in fact, you need to slow down. But instead of slowing down, a lot of people are just running harder, faster, and they used to live with their ringing bells constantly on to a point when they don't even hear it anymore. And I've noticed, for example, just by coming to Moscow and going around and seeing people that the frequency, it's like a frequency of the energy field. A lot of people, they are just live in that state, and this is normal, where my system feels contraction and that it's not natural. And in fact, the only way how to deal with this is to rise your frequency in a way and go beyond than the collective field. But that requires, let's say, inner work. And in fact, that requires connection with your spirit. I can share later how I do this, but this is also what is Richard Rudd is sharing the transmission of the Jinki, that in order to kind of dissociate with stress, or like in order to transmute the shadow, we have to rise our frequency above the collective field. We have to rise our frequency above what is normal in society. And of course, we can feel it sometimes when we, even in a city, we go like to nature, we have to take a walk in a park, or like, I don't know, we have massage, or we do something that sauna, we do something that helps to remove the stress and kind of to slow down. But it's just like a little something that helps for a short period of time. But the point is to being able to recalibrate your system so you always stay kind of above it, above this energy field. And what I found personally, that the only way to do this, the only possible way to do this, is to be in each every moment connected with your spirit. When in a way, your spirit holds you, and it's naturally harmonizes system and makes your frequency in a way, yeah, just rise and be different. That helps you to stay grounded in a hard and in a high energy field, and don't be pulled down by the stress and cortisol around you. Because as we are human beings and our energy systems like an open system and we exchange with others, but if we want to be careful with of course first we can just be careful of what we exchange with, but again, for example, if we always surrounded by people, we can't and we don't live in a forest, we can't just totally escape for a long period of time. If you're not a monk, for example, then you connect with society. So then the option here is to remain in the gift of restraint, and in fact, even in the city of stillness. That is possible, but that requires connection with your higher self and, in a way, mutation of your energy system, that it holds and it grounds in a higher frequency. That means your system, your body starts to produce different hormones that helps you to ground again in your heart and in a higher reality, in which you stay in peace, and you still can feel when energies are different energies are pulling you down, but you remain still in your heart and in the presence. And this is the remedy recipe for this key and for transmuting the stress. As if we react on stress, we just make it higher. If we try to kind of freeze, we can just go also into loop of depression when we don't have any energy, nothing to act and to make our life happen. And this is another polarity of a stress. Yeah, it's not only like overaction and overdoing, but also feeling freeze, feeling lack of motivation, lack of energy, lack of inspiration, not being able to act even if you feel you feel what you need to do, but you're not doing it, procrastinating, and all these symptoms are also symptoms of just repression nature of this shadow. 1 second, I'll have a cup of my tea. And so it's possible also again to bring back the inspiration and the flow. And I can say my recipe again would be to reconnect with your heart and with your spirit and act from your spirit, because when we align with the truth within and with the higher dimension, with the divine plane, we are able to act not from our personality, but we in fact receive the higher frequency that also transmutes our physical body. And it takes time, but then your body and the hormone levels of your body is being reprogrammed, so you can stay longer in a higher energy. And coming back, if you, for example, also if you work with this jinki, coming back to the gift and to the CD, activating it in your system, that will also help to reprogram your stress level and the way how you respond to life. Because again, when we're in a shadow, we respond to life from a very limited perspective. We kind of limited by very narrow view vision of reality. We don't see big picture, and we can't receive inspiration. We can't receive answers from the life, from the universe. We just limited in our own paradigm and in this stress and fears. But when we in fact transmute it, then we go into higher frequency that is that is helps us to sustain and live a different reality. So as I said, we coming back to breath, and we'll learn to pause, because when we want to run, we need to pause. We need to pause to feel into yourself. We need to pause before we act. We need to pause to, in fact, let the energy come into you instead of you forcing yourself. And this is also the beauty of this key and of this frequency. And another thing that I would love to share about this key, that it is a this key, in fact, gives a lot of inspiration when we're able to stay in the frequency of restraint. That means that we don't force, we don't fight, but instead we, as I said, we wait when the energy will come to us, and when the natural flow of life and the natural force will work through us to create something. Because when we're in a stress, we try to constantly force ourselves to make something happen that most of the time comes from our mind, and we in a way always going against the flow of life and contracting and bringing tension into our system, that's creating more stress, and that became a loop. But when we stay in a higher frequency and when we restrain, and we trust the natural flow of life and the force of life move through us, then we move in a higher frequency. And this the same way as like for example flower grows. They don't force, they just it's just letting the natural energy, like for example these roses, to grow, to make the plant grow without forcing it, because your mind thinks something needs to be faster, but the plant knows itself, and it's just don't think about the process of growing, but the growth just happens. The same as within us. We have to trust our intention, we have to trust the life. Yes, we have to make actions, because if we're in a shadow of stress, it can also, as I said, makes us in fact stop from action and not do anything. But at the same time, when we really trust the life, we let the action happen, and we just feel the moment when we need to do something, and that comes into alignment with life and with universe. One more thing that I would love to mention here is that connecting with the force, life, as I said, and restrain helps you in a way to kind of go beyond time. I remember I worked one with the client, I have a like mentorship through Jinky, is a program where I work with every key, and we transmute the shadow and go into gifting to the CD with the person. And in this program, I worked with a client who has 50-second Jinky in her personal chart. And we work on that, and we activated the high frequency. And then she's been sharing with me that she was able kind of to, in a way, go beyond time. In her daily life, she was able to stop, to go into this stillness, in fact, and act from that space and from that state that allow her to do more in a shorter period of time, and don't feel tired or stressed after that. And she was surprised. She was like, oh my God, it was really possible to live like this all the time. And I was just like looping in my mind with like stress and anxiety. And yes, of course, the shadow will create mental anxiety, will create fears, and you will just see reality from a fear. And the 52nd Jinki's program partner is 58 Jinki with their shadow of dissatisfaction. So in the shadow level is stress and dissatisfaction, and you always like in a lower frequency, anxiety, fear, uncertain, being uncertain, unknown, and feeling fears and don't know what to do, being disconnected with your spirit, with your soul, and being stuck. Uh, well, this is even if it's a picture for modern world, but there is still a possibility to see differently and to live differently, to live from alignment, from connection with your soul, with your heart, when you receive a guidance directly from your spirit and you act from this. And instead of forcing life, you let everything flow into you, as the previous Jinki showed us in the magnetism, that everything can flow to us. We can like magnet attract everything when we're in the right frequency. And this is possible when, again, we connect with the truth and with our heart. And instead of running, we restrain before action. We had a pause and we wait for the energy to come, and then we act from the energy instead of forcing ourselves or stopping ourselves when we feel we need to act. But we had this like this, oh, but I don't have enough qualities, or like I don't have enough energy, or I'm not good enough, or I don't know, it not will be successful, and all this type of fears that also can stop us sometimes from acting when we know what we need to do. And we have to again trust our spirit and our soul. And what else to say here? Yes, that again, the shadow is reaction and fear that goes either into like controlling, planning, and forcing your life, or in fact, in the Eastern world, direction and fear would be religion, would be creating a guide outside of yourself, and doing all these rituals in a way to also, in a way, escape a fear. That the gift and seed is showing us that the all answers are within, and we have to go there and find the stillness. And the stillness is a CD. And let's speak now more about restraint. We touched already in this frequency. And as I said, it's a beautiful gift that helps us to pause, that helps us to, in fact, recalibrate our frequency, and that help us to rise above there, the collective plan of stress and anxiety. And when we rise up our frequency, we remain untouched by the anxiety and fears, even if we can be in this environment, but our system does not respond to it anymore. That means that we went through this transmutation. And as it's a collective shadow, that in a way it requires that inner alchemy. Otherwise, the system will be always collapse. And of course, there are certain practices, techniques, meditation, yoga, Tao practices that help us to work with our system and on a hormone level, because it's also about hormones. It's about our body and what our body produces. So and how then it works and how it makes us think and act, and which frequency then we experience as a reality. And the gift, it's It's this pause before action, before you bring your thoughts into the action, before even you go into your thoughts. It's a moment of stillness, how you invite yourself into the stillness, because the gift in a way is a path to city, and it makes us makes you become observer of your own thoughts and emotions, emotional waves that coming through you, instead of reacting and identifying yourself with this. It's like what we develop when we meditate. In the beginning, when we meditate, it's like chaos. The thoughts are crazy, they running like horses or monkeys and jumping all over, and you just like in the chaos of your own mind. But the more you practice, the more you enter the space of stillness, the more you restrain and have this pause and restrain your energy, then you feel that your system starts to calm down. In fact, I remember when I did Vipassana that it was also like explanation and sharing the teachings that there are two waves here also, how our human mind works, that it either tries to run, and the person can't stay in meditation. It's like the body is always like moving, it's like this anxiety that happening. And the second way is the person falls asleep. It can't stay in meditation because it's just constantly falling asleep. And again, the frozen, the polarities of shadow I talk about. And if we just, in a way, come through that stage, we will find that there is a space of stillness within us, and that we don't need to react on everything, but in fact, we can stay in the stillness, and the stillness will guide our actions. And that we don't even need thoughts to act. The action can happen naturally in accordance with life force in you and your spirit. And you don't need to think about life to being able to live your life. And so then we enter in the field of stillness, that's also connected with the field of bliss. Again, the program partner 58 Jinki and the city of bliss. So we have a stillness and bliss. When I come into the stillness, it reminds me of once experience I have, in fact, a couple of times, several times, let's say, I had the experience where I felt the activation of 50-second CD in my life, because I have it also in my personal chart. And it felt like coming into the center of universe, where like there is nothing, just by stillness itself. No thoughts, no movement, nothing, nothingness, just a pure presence. That the stillness is also like a silence, can be very loud, and at the same time it's like the stillness is so relaxing. It's like all the tension just leaving your system, leaving your body. This CD can activate like eternal life in you, and the youth and the beauty, because your system will don't need to getting old. And like when you don't have when you're not in a stress, and your system, it doesn't have much cortisol, then you're not getting older in the sense of physical body. response to the stress, because the stress is what makes us what creates tension in our organs. They go down, creates more pressure, like all our system in a way, let's say, going more into gravitation down, 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 because um, the cells, they create less mitochondries, mitochondries, they create less energy, and like the whole system is naturally um, drawing, when in fact, if we connect with our spirit again, and we just, let's say, in a frequency of stillness that removed the stress from you, then you can live differently. You can live even in a, let's say, big age, like physically mature age, but your body can have a lot of energy, aliveness into it. And you, of course, it will also reflect how you look, how you feel, how you move through life. And people will be surprised, like, oh wow, what's happened with this person? And in fact, I know one of this person who is very much in their bliss of life and connected with the spirit, and also takes care of body. And his energy in his body in his age is like, looks amazing, and is like just aliveness you can feel in the energy field, that like sometimes it feels like he just gets younger and younger every time I see him. Just by, in fact, taking care of himself, being connected with nature, don't have stress in his life, or like minimizing the stress, and doing physical activity, eating healthy, and also if he's doing their, um, some people, they do this like fasting. I'm not a fan of fasting, and in fact, like my kinesiologist doesn't recommend this, but everybody has our own recipes, so I will not say if it works or not. For some people, it works, as also, it works, everything we believe in. So if I believe in gene keys, they will work for me, and you believe in gene keys, and this transmission will work for you. So anyway, speaking about when I entered the field of stillness, and it's just felt so peaceful. I remember one time when I was in fact, even in my apartment in Moscow, and it just happened spontaneously after meeting with my ex-partner at the time. And after that, I was at home, and I just felt, first I felt like a very loud sound, and I couldn't understand what the sound was, but then I realized, like, this is sound of vibration of my body. My body started to vibrate on a very high level, and I could hear the frequency. And then I felt to sit in a meditation, and I just felt such absolute stillness where I couldn't even move. It felt like everything stopped, and it felt such a deep peace and relaxation that um, there was no thoughts, and there was nobody even to uh, understand that there was no thoughts. It was just as a presence itself. And in fact, it's interesting when we speak about the CD, we also can speak about the torus. The torus system, like, looks like an apple with moving energies, and the torus is also connects to 2 points. Lower down, it's an in polar. That is a void that sucks everything in, that in a way kind of destroy all the matter, that bring you into the emptiness. And another pole is a male, the yang pole. That's that stillness and the giving energy. That's like expanding and giving and creating a frequency of bliss. And it's like death and birth. And how the energy move, Taurus, it's how energy move from one pole to another, and from the life to death and to life again, and to the birth again, and from expansion to contraction. I remember when I was also studying Tai Chi Chuan and some Chinese techniques of movement, that the teacher was sharing that the all life, as same as our breath, is moves from expansion to contraction. And we humans, we decided that contraction is something that is bad, when in fact it's a natural state of life, because after the contraction it comes expansion. And we contract, like when we breathe out, and then we breathe in and we expand again. The same is like restrain. We restrain to let the energy move and circulate in a harmonious way. And discovering these two poles, yin and yang, bliss and death, we can see that stillness exists also in the movement of this. And in a way beyond all this, there's one beautiful quote, in fact, that represents also this city of stillness, and this is from Bhagavad Gita, that said that even in a stillness, the selfish man is moving, or like acting, is in action, in a movement. Even in an action or in a movement, the selfless man is still. That means that if you found a deep stillness within that can be found only through connection with Source and with God, even when you move and you act and you do, you remain still. Because stillness is a core of your true nature. And stillness is something that untouched, it can't be changed, in fact. It's like stillness, it's like a mountain. It's something that remain untouched and stable all the time, and it's not shaking and it's not moving anywhere. And if we didn't connect with the source, even we can stay without action, looks like a stillness, but we will still move a lot in our minds, in our thoughts. We can't really be still if we didn't reach this point of deep stillness, not the personal stillness, but this divine stillness that like a bliss. And that stillness, in fact, it's bring the frequency of bliss. It makes your system shine. It elevates your frequency, and then you experience the bliss of existence and the bliss of your life. That is, you can share it with others. It is also very beautiful, in fact, recipe for this key. It said, if you want to elevate your frequency, and if you want to come out of the shadow of stress, you need to start to serve others, because this is what this key needs. It needs to serve. because the higher frequency exists only when we serve Dharma, serve others. And the question you should ask yourself, how can I be in a greater service to the whole? And make this question your recipe. Make this question be your guidance. Make this question touch the deep parts of your heart and become like a melody for you. So you will in tune, and you will not try to again understand with your mind, but you will see how life will respond to this question. And then you act in alignment with your heart, seeing how you can be in a greater service to the whole, not to your mind, not to your ideas, not to your ego preferences, not to all the things that you think you need to do and what you have to be and how you have to look and who you have to become and how much money you should have, but from this deep connection with your heart, how you can be in service. In fact, it's interesting because when I share this now, I remembered period in my life, like almost a year ago, like was last October, I think, when I was in Bali, and it's been a lot of stress before, and also it was a stress, like kind of a stress that remained in my system after breaking up with my previous partner before I met Anthony and met my divine partner. And like my system, like I didn't fully process, let's say, everything, and the life was, they just keep going in fast speed, and then that stress, it kind of ran over me. And but I didn't notice it in a right moment, and then like eventually it's brought my frequency down, and kind of like it was some stagnation in my work and everything. And then I've tried to do something, tried to create solutions, but then I just stopped and I said, I just have a month for myself, just being, just living. Yes, like working with few clients I have, but not making new clients, not trying to make everything, not try to sell everything, not try to think about relationship, not just being with myself, and just resting and recalibrating and nurturing myself, and just just let myself be, and recalibrate my nervous system. And in fact, during the time also I started to give Jinkies transmissions in Bali, and then that service, in fact, that what helped me to was a spark for the spirit. Every Tuesday when I was going to these sessions in Usada, I felt joy and I felt light. I felt sparkle in my heart, and I just simplified everything in my life. But in fact, from this simplicity, and again, how the gift restraint works, then after everything starts to flow, and the life show that there is always a natural flow of life, but you just have to reconnect with it. Not doing more, but doing less. Listen to yourself. Stop. Recalibrate your frequency first, and be in a flow of your heart, and be in a service, truly service, not service from your mind, but from your heart. And then the light will flow towards you. Not you try to run and reach some goals or something, but the magnetism activates and it brings and tracks everything towards you. But you remain in stillness, untouched, and in a deep bliss, and surrender to life, feeling this mystery in your heart, and feeling how God speaks in your heart and to you and through you, and feeling the deep joy and bliss again, just being in service. So that Jinkies transmissions became for me a deep joy. That's why I'm doing it even online right now, even when now today is nobody here, because today is a Friday when I record it. And but it still brings me joy and a lot of love. And also just some gentle reminder that one of the part of how my service now flows is a retreat with my beloved that we're going to make at the end of September in Nepal. And it's called Soul Awakening, and it's about reconnecting with your soul and living from your soul and creating your best reality, your dream reality, in co-creation with the universe. I'm gonna give my method creator codes that help already a lot of people, and normally it's like a 3 months online program, but I'm gonna give it in 7 days. And the teachings and also the inner work we're going to do to work on your specific situation and your timelines, your realities, your reality, and also my partner will give beautiful transmissions of yoga and Ayurveda, and also connection with heart and love that within you, and activating the soul that on this knows the answers and will guide you not from what you think you need to do and how your life should be, but when you act truly from the soul. And as I said, everything is magnetized towards you, and then your system is recalibrates and it's stop producing that huge amount of cortisol. And in fact, you more and more entering the space of field, the more your spiritual heart is opening, you feel connection with life, and you think differently, you perceive reality differently, you start to be in a different realm where you kind of stay in bliss no matter what. And even if something shakes you, you much faster come back to your heart and to the higher frequency, because you know already that this is your home and that this is the truth and this is where you want to be, and just ground in this more and more. So if you want to receive information more about what's going to be on the retreat, the dates, the price, and everything, and location, then DM and I will send you a brochure where there is all the photos and information about the methods we're going to give and teach, and about the prices and everything you need to know. So thank you for your presence, who watch online, who watched recording, and share please your feedback, what touched your heart, what was inspiring for you, and see you soon for the next key.